David. So I got the heart monitor thing in the mail yesterday, and David's looking at it and trying to figure it out how to do it. So I have to do that for as long as it lasts. Hopefully 30 days is what they want. So, but when I did the ultrasound on my heart on Tuesday, they saw nothing. The walls of my heart are fine. Everything's fine. A little bit thick because of the high blood pressure I've had. But other than that, my heart is fine. My MRI on Monday came back negative. I had a meeting with the sleep study people on Friday to go over my sleep. And I do have restless leg syndrome, which I had known that for years. So apparently that's been the cause of my insomnia. So I'm on some medication for that. And then yesterday I went for the MRI at 6 o'clock yesterday morning at the North Cypress. Went for an MRI on my shoulder because I can't move my arm. I can't lift it. I can't do it. To scratch my head, I have to lean over like this so I can reach it. Or I can take this hand and pick this hand up, but he suggested I not do that. So I saw from the MRI, they determined that I had a fracture in my shoulder. And I went immediately to the orthopedic doctor yesterday afternoon, and he looked it over and he said, so the decision was, do I have to have surgery or is it treatable? He wants me to wait 3 weeks before he makes the decision, because it's a very, very, very small fracture. And I have so many other things wrong with my shoulder that I didn't even know about. So I have arthritis in that shoulder, which has caused whatever buildup and everything. And then I also have a tendon, torn tendon, which he says it's not possible that it got damaged that much in a fall. So apparently it was already there, and the fall just made it worse. So he wants me to wait three weeks, and then he will either start steroid shots or do surgery. But he said, I'm going to be honest with you now and tell you that if it's surgery, it will be a complete shoulder replacement. So, oh God.
That, Sandy, that sounds super scary.
Yeah, it does.
But our mom has both shoulders replaced.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody having a shoulder replaced.
She's got both knees and both shoulders. Mom's kind of an overachiever like you. And so the rehab from it can be kind of tough because, you have to do a lot of exercises where you're going, but it's not quite as scary as it sounds. I mean, it's still serious, but Mom came through it with flying colors on both her shoulders. So
and how long did all that take? That's why
the rehab, she did most of her rehab at home. They have somebody come by the house and you've got these little ropes and stuff, I want to say probably 6 weeks maybe of like having the rehab people come 2 or 3 times a week.
You can still do things during that time.
Oh yeah. And once you get used to your restless legs medication, you won't feel as drowsy because Mom has that too. The other thing that will help with
talking to your mom.
Yeah, you need to be talking to Mom. The other thing that can help with restless legs, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's
I was about to say that.
Yeah, what's that stuff called? Tonic water.
That and pickle
diet
juice
tonic
too.
water.
Pickle juice does too.
Yeah, but that's probably got too much salt for you. But the quinine in the tonic water, for some reason, if you drink like a couple of shots of it, not a whole lot, it helps.
You mean like the tonic water that you mix with gin and
Yep,
gin tonic?
exactly.
Ooh, okay.
Hey, I joined just at the right time.
Yeah, we're talking about drinking.
James, I'm going to have to join you in the drinking world. Brian with the bourbon. Brian does the bourbon. I don't know what you drink, James, but he's always making his comments. I'm like, okay.
Just about anything.
I've not had a drink in years, so I'm not sure I want to go through that process again either.
Well, anyway, you can obviously call me and I'll
I
walk
will,
you through. Yeah.
the person I need to talk to. So anyway, so just for the present, for now, Amy's in charge. So we've already talked about it today on other things she can take over for me. The one thing I will continue doing is the client calls. We have a client call with my clients, one-on-one clients. I meet with them once a week. Once a week for coaching. Or I consider that the meetings I have with them are part coaching, part mastermind, part brainstorming, and part just getting to know each other. And then like for Joshua, we have a meeting with him at 2, and Joshua, we met with Dana this morning for an hour to talk to her about all that she does for, I love it. Joshua, he knows this technology stuff. So I see he's got his little thumbs up there. I didn't even know that existed on Zoom until just the other day. So we'll talk to you at 2 about how we're moving forward. I'm also looking over a non-disclosure that I told you I would have. One of the things, and CJ, Amy's going to give you the link and the information so you can log into my Speakertunity account and not just look at the emails or something, because I want you to go to the dashboard. Because when I looked,
That's what I do. I go through all 40 whatever pages on both of those, radio and thing on.
Because you told me the speaker summits were outdated.
They have telesummits and everything are updated. We just got one that it goes all the way through to November.
Okay, last time I looked at it, they were like in 2016 and 2017.
Well, you have to go look at the date. You have to go look. So I looked at July 2020.
Okay. They didn't have that up. When I looked last time it was.
See, I've never gone there that it wasn't up, so I don't know for sure. That's why I want to make sure you're going to the right spot. So
I'll go ahead.
We'll just double check if it's all good. If there's an issue, I'll look at it. No big deal. We'll double check. No big deal.
So one of the things
before,
and I know you've already added Joshua to the list of people that you do the things for. So one of the things we get is David on that list, because he should be on there as well.
David who?
David Shine.
I never have gotten information for him. No.
Okay, well, he's been with us for a few months now, so
I have never.
I'll be glad to kick it in. Just send me an email. Just send the email address.
So David, what I've already been
talk to you about him.
What I've already been doing for David, and this is what I've been doing. So David has 2 people on his team that are extremely helpful. One of them is a student, or was just graduated from the University of St. Thomas. So she's been working with him as an intern and now is helping him with research and other things. And then his assistant is just brilliant at this stuff. So we've already been doing it. So we've been going through, so David, I've been going through that with Elena and Rachel. So it's just, she does something a little bit different, but I've been going through all the radio interview, because there is that radio interview section, CJ, and so we'll get together and just make sure we're on the right page for that. So if you're interested,
I do the speaking. The only one I hadn't been doing was the summit because it wasn't updated and I didn't know about David. So Amy, you and I need to talk, please. I can get him on the list.
We'll set up one. This is a mastermind. We'll set up one of those. We'll go through all that separately offline. We should get Sandy's update and then we should talk about the timelines. We don't need to have a company.
That's why I said we'll talk later.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome, David. So David, you and I will be getting together As soon as we can get a time set up, because I really want you to get started on the Facebook Lives that we're going to be doing. So David's going to be doing a similar to our author talk, like a video podcast. And I'm going to be on there with you, and we'll start that next week. And then from then on, from now till the election, because this book is about the decline of America. So we will be interviewing him, talking to him about that. But David, if there's other guests, if there's things you want to talk to about the COVID, how to operate your business during this time, those are the topics we'll be doing from now till the election. And then following that, then eventually we're going to look at David having his own podcast. So we've been pitching him. But here's the thing, then we'll get to the timeline. If you want to speak on telesummits or speak virtually, any of those, then let me know. We make the calls for you and reach out for you and write the pitch and do all of that. If you're a client, full blown, whatever, one-on-one client. If you're a member of this group, then we'll be happy to supply you with the information. You'll just make the calls yourself. So just let me know if you're interested in that. And Amy, maybe we'll just start posting them in the group, and everybody can just download them that wants to look at them. For anybody so Joshua's book will be on a spiritual nature. He's also had a movie that's similar to Brian, What the Bleep. You and I saw What the Bleep, right? Did you see that? So were you at the UP weekend when we saw that? Is that where we saw that?
I can't remember.
Okay. Anyway, there's a movie called What the Bleep, and Joshua's movie is similar to that and to The Secret. And then now his book will be in a book form. And so there's lots of stuff in there for people who speak on spiritual topics. The person that does this, Speakertunity, Jackie Lapin, is a very spiritual person, and she speaks to the spiritual community. So anyway, so that's one thing for, so I just want to go over those things. So Amy, anything else about, before we get to the timeline, and then we'll start that, but anything else about the work-related stuff?
We have 2 book launches tomorrow.
Oh, yes, thank you. And also at 1 o'clock today, we will be having a live author talk short with Delia Serpa, who is one of the book launches for tomorrow. And her book, Queen of the Flowers, is the story of her family and their transition from Puerto Rico to the United States and some of the things they've dealt with. And Saturday is her birthday. She will be 81 years old. On her 80th birthday, I mean, she does a lot to be that old. And she's, like 4 or 5 years older than I am. So anyway, so that will be at 1 o'clock today. We'll be on Facebook Live. And then tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll have her happy birthday launch party. She's got her family that are going to be on saying happy birthday. Someone's going to be singing happy birthday to her, and her book will be free for the weekend. So, it's like the second book launch, her birthday book launch. And then at 7 o'clock Saturday, tomorrow, will be John Ford's book launch of his book, Dominion. So I'm about halfway through reading it. I'm not sure I'm really getting it, actually. So it's a great book, but it's technically, IT-wise, just a tiny bit over my head. So anyway, I do recommend it. It's a great book, easy to read. So anyway, that's it. Any questions or anything before we start on talking about the timeline, the mastermind?
Sandy, I have one thing. So last time I asked Brian about his evaluation of our websites, and he said he sent them to you.
He did. Yeah.
So
I have them, Julie. I just got them. So I have them and I will forward it to you right now.
okay, now I'm shaking in my boots because the fact that he didn't send it directly to me makes me afraid to open
Well,
it.
there was a reason he sent them to
Yes.
me. I honestly, I don't even remember what that reason was.
He wanted Sandy to look over them because author websites are different than the ones that he usually does. So
Yeah.
he wanted Sandy to look over them and then meet with you guys individually to talk about it and kind of get feedback and stuff that way. But if you would rather me just send it to you, I can forward it to you right now. I just got it.
Well, even
Well,
if you do forward it to her now, we do want to have a discussion with her. And so it'll either be me, you, and Brian, or it'll be Amy, you, and Brian. So,
doesn't sound like you're up for additional appointments at this point, Sandy, and it's already been a couple of months since Brian first made this offer. So I guess we ought to just go ahead with Amy. I mean, I don't know. I would, of course, love to have you participate, but you seem overbooked.
no.
No, she seems medically.
She's
Incapacitated.
having some medical issues at the moment.
Yeah. So
So
I did review the three people who contacted me. I reviewed the sites because I do a lot of corporate sites. When I look at a site, I look at it like a visitor, and I'm like, okay, am I interested in this? And so I sent them to Sandy. I just sent them to Amy since she's taken over a lot of the responsibility. And I just wanted to make sure, because of the fact that I don't do I'm not an author specialist, but I am a conversion specialist, and I want you all to sell books. So that's the reason why I sent them to her, and she can definitely send them to you. And if there's any questions at all from the 3 people who are getting their reviews, I'll be glad to help y'all.
Thanks.
James just reminded me that John's book will be free this weekend also, and we're talking about the ebook. So ebooks are free this weekend. We've been having so much fun with our launch parties that we haven't been pushing for that top 10 lately with our clients. So we're going to go back to doing that. But tomorrow will be John Peterson's. CJ.
On Sunday through Thursday, Chief and Sarge's Kindle version of their first book is free, and I'll be on Author Talk on Monday to talk about it with Lyd and the little guys.
Yep. So Monday will be CJ and Lydia on Author Talk as they have the official launch of the book Chief and Sarge. And it's their, what's the title of the book? Because I know they're cruising. That's the title of the book. So they're on a cruise, and so lots of pictures of them with the people that were on the cruise with CJ and her super hubby.
Yep. And there's also fun facts in the back of the book regarding cruises.
Ah, okay. So, Kathy Horizon, good to see you. And Hyatt, we are going to have that call, Hyatt, I promise.
Okay.
Maybe not until next week, though. Honestly, right this minute, I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing today. So, Amy, I'm going to let you take over and lead it for the talk about timelines, and I do appreciate Fern being here on Monday. I did want to say too, there's the one thing before I turn it over to Amy is and Jeremy, when are you speaking to the group on Monday night? When is that?
The 3rd.
August 3rd.
Okay.
The 3rd, and Greg and Tess are on the 10th at 7.
Oh, yay! I didn't know that was scheduled. So thank you, Amy and Greg. And so you guys want to make sure. Don't miss Jeremy on the 3rd. Jeremy, what's the topic? Your topic?
The hero's journey.
Okay.
And how the hero's journey applies not just to your writing, but in all aspects of being an author, from your marketing to your day-to-day life to all things.
Very good. And then for those of you that were not on the book launch for Greg, where he launched his audiobook, and he had, so the title of his book is Tess, and he had his narrator on, whose name is Tess. What's her last name, Greg?
Primack.
And she is a New York Broadway actress. Lydia said she won the audiobook and it was really good. They were amazing. Greg and Tess were amazing. And to hear her talk about some things that she's done, projects she's done, it was really, really good. So since a lot of you want to do audiobooks, Greg is now officially our expert on creating your own audiobook. So, and how he got tests and how he can have a Broadway actress doing his voiceover or narration. I think it's called narration, isn't it, Greg?
Either or.
Okay. So, so I can't wait for that. That's awesome. So August 3rd for Jeremy, August 10th for Greg. And I wanted to let you know that if you have a topic for authors, specifically for authors, or one that would benefit authors, and you would like to do a Monday night training, please let me know. So that way I can schedule you, because we will be having guests for the next few weeks. And until this whole thing is until for 3 weeks, I'd like to make sure, just so I can be ready in case I have to go do the surgery deal in 3 weeks. So anyway, I know you guys, I just want to say a big thanks to Amy. She's just been amazing at the way she's worked with everyone that she's taken. I mean, sometimes I would check on something that had already been done. I hadn't even asked her or mentioned it to her or anything. So Amy, Rox, and Charles, I had my call with them this morning for the first time in a couple of weeks, and they both said that you're doing an amazing job. So everybody that has reported anything to me has told me what a wonderful job Amy's doing. And I'm looking forward to meeting with Joshua, because Amy's spent more time with him this first couple of weeks than I have. So excited, Joshua, to talk to you about possibilities for your book and to give you a report on our call with Dana. And Brian, you know Dana Zarkon, she was in our our Bellany group, Live It Choice group, for a while, and for a couple of years, I think. So she now has a publishing company, and she's starting a new project, and we talked about that this morning as well. So all is good. That was great. So now, Amy, I'm gonna be quiet, I promise.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to. I mean, it's a Sandy update because we've all wanted to hear. They've heard from me for like 3 weeks or 2 masterminds. I think they're sick of hearing from me, so it's all good. No, I know Fern was talking about the timeline on publishing a book and getting a book out there, and I know several of you guys have already done that and experienced it, but I just wanted to know what your timelines were looking like writing your next book, or if you're writing the short story for Lydia and CJ because they're doing their Christmas anthology, which submissions are due soon, right, Lydia? CJ, somebody, they're due soon, right?
October 1st.
Yes, okay. See, so that's coming up because I'm on countdown mode to August, okay?
Yes, you are.
Please give us a heads up if you're interested, please.
Yes, we want to reserve you a spot.
Yes. Also, don't forget that Alan's short story competition is to the end of July. So if you have a story that was cut from your book and you can take it and use it as a short story, then be sure to submit something to him. Julie, did you submit anything to that?
I'm going to. I have a story. I took it to my critique group. I revised it, and I'm still thinking about it. I have several more days in which to final edit.
Yes.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so okay, so good. Is anybody else thinking of submitting a short story to Alan? Okay, good, Kathy. That's great. So good luck for all of you. I'm sorry, Kathy.
I said I did, and I had it in my head someplace that the word count was 5,000, and then I read the instructions and saw it was 3,000. So I did a lot of chopping.
Chopping, okay. Also, this weekend is Alan's author marketing event, and it is a virtual event this year. That's where I met Lydia and CJ. It's where I met Judith Bryles. So a very, very nice event when it's in person, and I know it will be as a virtual event. So if you need information on that, let me know. It is free to attend. And speaking at 9 a.m. tomorrow will be Rox and Charles, who are the co-authors of the Enigma series. So, okay, back to timelines.
Sandy, this is Julie again. You went quickly through so many launches and other things happening. in the next week or so. I just can't keep them in my head. And I know you've been talking about an events calendar. Has that happened? Or maybe someone can, some of people have put their event in the chat, but not everybody. Maybe Amy could just add the events to the chat.
Well, where you need to put them is not the chat, although that's a great place to start. So if you're having an event, put it there. We'll make copy. Remember, save your chat. However, thank you, Lydia. The Facebook group is where you want to put your event, anything that's going on with you, whether you're speaking, whether you get an award, whatever publicity, that's the place to start, is the Facebook group. And if we see something in there that needs to be shared, we'll share it over on my group and my Facebook page. So be sure to put stuff in there as well.
So when you say Facebook, you mean Through the Eyes of Authors page?
Yes, not page, group.
They also get shared on Sandy's personal page, but I did put them in the email today, which I did get your email that you didn't receive it, but I started putting them in there as reminders just to kind of remind everyone to tune in tomorrow. So I'll forward that to you, but they're also on Sandy's page and on the Facebook group. I'm going to share them again today, Julie. So I'll make sure everyone sees them. Okay, so does anyone have a timeline on anything that they're writing, any book going out, any feedback about Monday night, any refreshers that they had, just kind of reviewing? Jeremy, kick it off, go for it.
I loved Monday night. Fern was awesome.
Yes.
And yes, so we talked a lot about timeline and developmental editors, and I was talking about how I don't know where to find a developmental editor for my type of book, except for maybe sci-fi fantasy or somebody who knows gaming. You guys suggested Kelly. Mark, he's not here. I'm gonna kiss his face though. He sent me in the chat, but I missed it. I had already gotten off the call, but he sent an email. He goes, I don't know if you saw this, but I think I know a guy. So he hooked me up with Matt Goodwin out of San Francisco, who's a cyberpunk author and a developmental editor and a gamer. And he's so fabulous. I can't even. I've had so much in my head about whether to have an editor or not, and this has been such an awesome process. And he's just he knows my timeline is so short because the Kickstarter's in September. So he has dug in with his full everything. So short, the timeline talked about that process being pretty long. We've run that process down real far, which is awesome. And he's really willing to do it. And we're really going far. And he's really made some amazing, amazing points that I not needed, but the opportunity was for somebody outside of who has gamed Planet Bound for the last 30 years, which when you're so entrenched, I know for me, when you're so entrenched in a story, especially a 30-year long story, it's very difficult to separate yourself from the story and see it with brand new eyes. So having brand new eyes on it has been awesome. And so my timeline is September 8th is the goal for the Kickstarter campaign. October 1st is the live. I know we have events that we're going to do associated with that. So I'm good on my timeline. Timeline is good. And I'm excited because we talked so much about the editing process in that timeline, and that brought me to having a developmental editor that is fabulous. So thank you to this group. Thank you to Mark. He's not here, but I'll kiss his face.
Well, James can make sure you pass the word to Mark, right, James?
Yes, I will.
Mark is great. I love Mark.
Mark is excellent. I'm trying not to get in touch with Mark, but he is doing so much, way ahead of me on so many things. I do believe he was in marketing before.
I mean, he must have been. He definitely understands it.
Yes, he definitely understands it, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And God bless him for it.
Yeah, and as another point, so my marketing plan is in my timeline, the marketing portion of things is really laid out too. I have some great coaching on that side, and marketing is my background personally. So I've been able to set that up. And Mark sent me his marketing thing too for his, and I added stuff even to my plan because he came up with some great stuff.
Very good.
Sorry, I'm juggling a bunch of stuff between emails and messages, so my bad. Anyways, does anyone else have any other thing that they're working on? Like my timeline right now is not author related, so you guys probably don't care, but I'm just counting down until this baby comes out because I'm miserable and I'm tired and I would like to, have energy. So that's my timeline. If anyone wants to like put good, vibes out there, that would be fantastic. That, she come, maybe not this weekend because we have so many book launches and stuff going, but, if she wanted to come sometime, next week.
No baby this weekend. No
Yeah,
baby this
not on
weekend.
Saturday, for sure not on Saturday, but, anytime next week, if anyone wants to.
Monday
now
is
that
good.
you've said that,
And now that you said it, it's going to happen.
exactly, right in the middle of Delia's, launch.
But y'all know me, okay? I don't know if some of you guys weren't around when my daughter first came, but I was doing author talk. So y'all don't know. You might just see me in my bed afterwards. You don't know. I'm committed.
Actually doing author talk from her delivery room while she's
my video wasn't on though, okay? I was just in the comments. My video wasn't on. But so you guys never know. It will totally happen. But does anyone else have any timelines, feedback, suggestions?
My timeline has always been, I got the book all the way out to publishing before I actually did any marketing and anything like that. And now I'm switching it around to get the marketing done before I get the book out. But with this COVID-19, it has thrown such a monkey wrench into things because I can't get that first book printed and see it. And we're looking at John's book, and John sent me an email today that I noticed the cover was askew. He then sent me an email saying after he'd been going through proofreading, the whole book is askew. And it's mine and his. So I have to go back to Ingram and say, hey, what the hell? The book is crooked. And this is usually what you would catch in the proofread when you actually get that first. But I usually, when I do my authors, I get the first book, I have it sent to me, we go through it, and we read it, and we look for any error that we might have missed. Because I'm horrible at editing on screen or proofreading on screen. I don't see anything.
Well,
Things go right past me.
The screen won't have it askewed anyway. The screen will look fine. It's when they do whatever happens when they printed it. That's crazy.
Yeah, but they printed it askewed. And also, like when I'm editing on screen and proofreading on screen, I miss like if there's a bad word or if the word is not capitalized. I miss some of those things on screen because I'm just so used to looking at screens all the time. That stuff just goes right past me. When I have it in hand in a print book and I do that final proofread, that's when I catch all those things and I go, ooh, this is supposed to be capitalized, or oh, that doesn't look right. And, so because of the fact that it takes a month to get these books printed and be ready for print, we sort of like sidestep that last process, which is not really a good idea. So from now on, we're not going to set the book launch until after we at least have a good proof that we know that we have a good copy ready to roll. And then we'll set our book launches from there. We can do other things, along that timeline, marketing wise and, things like that. But we're not going to set the next book launch until, and I'm not talking about Mark, because Mark is already there and I got his copy and we're going through it now to take a look at it. And even though I told John the same thing, don't worry about it. We'll put the edits in and then we'll get we don't have to reprint it. We just put the edit in. It takes a day or two for them to update the file. So people will order it.
What about the ebook? The ebook looks fine.
Ebook will take us just one night. Once I get all the edits, I just edit it and relaunch the file to Amazon. They just update it. So ebooks, I'm not really worried about.
But the one will be like it'll be free this weekend, right? So will that one look good?
Yeah, it'll look okay. There'll be a few minor errors in it, a few minor typos or whatever in it, but we can live with them on this edition. Yeah,
because we have been kind of rushing yours to market, and I'm a firm believer that if it's not perfect, then we wait till it is. So and it's a great thing for us to learn, James, because you got lots more books coming, And one of the things we want to do is make sure we establish in this whole timeline, make sure you understand that quality is number one. That's why we do several edits. That's why we have a developmental editor. That's why we go through all these processes of different people reading it, because one of the things you want is when someone picks up your book, they don't immediately, and I'm not saying this to James, I'm saying this to the whole group. You don't want anybody to pick up that book and say, this book was not published by Random House because it's not the same quality. I mean, I am a proponent of quality being the same. We as independent authors and publishers and marketers want our book, we can be the exact same as Random House, providing we keep that quality up there. So keep thinking of that, working on that, keep pushing for that. That is, and I have to say, Julie, your book looks as as far as a independently published book, which yours was, it looks beautiful. I mean, all of your books look great, but if you've ever seen Julie's book, it just is amazing. The quality of that book, and I love it, and I think you did a great job, Julie. So,
I had an interview this week with a librarian to get some tips on how to get librarians interested in ordering our books. And one of the things she said was, you need to make sure that you let them know early on, even in the tagline of an email, if that's how you communicate with them, that your book has been professionally edited, that you've done your research if it's a book that requires research, because they are inundated with anybody with a computer and a Wi-Fi connection now can publish a book, and they are. And the librarians won't even look at that unless you let them know that you've made the effort to make this a professional publication. Doesn't mean it has to be published traditionally, but it does mean you need to let them know right away that you've gone the extra mile to get pay attention to the details and get professional editing and copy editing and all of that.
And I can't tell you, that's great information, Kathy, and from a librarian, but I can't tell you how many people say to me, I just won't buy any self-published or a small press book because it just doesn't have the same quality. So make sure that you keep that at the top of the list. And James, you and I will postpone any book launch we need to get that quality in there. So because you never know when the printer, you can have the best quality product there is, and then you send it to print, and they can, they can screw it up. Jeremy's going to have a lot of that with things he has to really manage with not only the book, but the game itself and all the components that you'll have. So keep that, get help, go to a focus group. Our group is your perfect focus group. So if you want something reviewed to see if it looks like it was, if it looks like quality, that it looks the exact same as a Random House, then this is what we're here for. We are here to support you, not only in helping you with your timeline, not only in helping you with the ideas, not only with the things that we do, but this is a great, great, great focus group. And we used to have quite a few people submitting their books and saying, will somebody review this for me? Absolutely, we will. That is how we can help you. So utilize the resources that are in this group. If you have publishing questions, we have James as the more experienced one, and then we have Julie, and then we have CJ and Lydia. So make sure, and Red is a publisher. We keep forgetting to mention that Red is a publisher, and he's like Red, what would you describe? Because you don't make sure, you leave the responsibility of the quality and the editing and all that to the author, and then you will take their book and get it on market, right? Did I describe that right?
No, I do not do any editing, proofreading, or anything like that. All I do is publish their book. I format it, I get their book worth the cover, I get everything done, I turn the account back over to them. I don't get involved with marketing or any aspect whatsoever. It's strictly the publishing process. but I do have a quick question. So if somebody writes a book and it's a bestseller on Random House and they can buy it on Amazon, does Amazon then go to Random House to print and send it to somebody, or does Amazon print it themselves and send it to somebody?
I believe that Random House does their own printing.
Okay. So Amazon is just a middle manager that are printed someplace else.
They're just a sales help. That's all they are for
Okay.
publishers like Random House.
I was just curious about that.
Now, it doesn't have to be. I mean, well, actually, no, it's not true, because if Random House is publishing your book, here's the big, big, big difference. If Random House is publishing your book, they own your book. Absolutely 100% own the rights to your book. So you can't go to Amazon and say, I want printed copies of this, because you don't even see the numbers and the behind the scenes on Amazon if Random House is your publisher, because they're the only one to see that. You don't get paid from Amazon. You get paid from the publisher, and it's a royalty. It has nothing to do with the book itself and you and all of that. It's whatever royalty you guys agreed to up front when you signed the contract, whatever their contract says.
Yeah, but you're just buying the book. You don't care, from that. I'm talking about a normal person just buying a book.
Normal person buying a book printed by Random House or published by Random House goes to Amazon to get the to order the book. They can go to Amazon to order the book.
They just order fulfiller. That's all they do is fulfill an order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anybody else on timeline?
There's two things I was going to say. The first one is regarding quality. Just remember, you only have one time to make the first impression, so you better make it good. So that's my thoughts on that one. My other thing is that very first book I ever wrote, talk about quality. I have it rewritten and it's currently with the editor, so hopefully I should get that back soon, and then that will be relaunched as a second edition. And I have, because that's done, I've already got one book of the trilogy written in rough draft form, so I'll be starting the second one soon. That's my timelines.
Red undersells himself a little bit. He is a guide to you. While he may not do all of the other stuff, if he sees problems, he will guide you and direct you, and walk you through it. So he's more than just a publisher.
Thank you, Hyatt, because yes, I know Red is a great help for people that want to publish a book or have a book and they want help with publishing it. So James, let's talk about your timelines and kind of how you guys do it at Rock Hill. So James and Athena Paris are Rock Hill Publishing. So walk us through a timeline of a new author comes to you with a book and what happens.
Unmute James.
James.
He's muted.
I think he's asleep.
No, he's just got his picture there.
Okay, I don't know where he is. So this is what
was that? I missed something. I'm actually eating, and half the time I'm listening, and half the time I'm not.
Do you want Athena to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Athena, just walk us through an example of how you meet an author and the timeline, and what goes on.
Okay, usually what we do, obviously we have an advert out on Google, wherever. So a writer finds us and they read the submission rules of what we have out there, and then they'll send us a query letter, usually a synopsis, first two chapters, middle chapter, and a last chapter. So obviously they send that to us. So we read that. So from that, we can gauge more or less if that's an interesting story or it's in a topic that we don't deal with. Like if it's highly political things or religious or things like that, we don't publish those. So we usually tell them, no, we don't do this genre. So therefore it stands you in better stead to go look for a publisher that deals in the subject. Then what happens is, if we like the sound of the story, we'll say, can we then read your entire manuscript? Then they send the entire manuscript. Then we'll read it. And sometimes we quickly see already if there are problems or no problems, or if the writing is up to standard, or they struggled putting their words on paper, or things like that. And then we usually sit and we do an evaluation letter. So I break it down. We break it into characterization, setting, plot, all kinds of things. I break it all down and I tell them what we like and where we feel it's lacking. Because sometimes, like everybody knows, when you're very close to your own material, you don't always see mistakes any longer. So fresh eyes usually help you. You'll point out certain things. So from that, and we'll say, rewrite it and then resubmit it. Or if it's in a good, if it's a good enough standard, we'll say, okay, we are interested in publishing this book for you, but please revise it, go over all the things that we've mentioned, if they agree, of course, because there are writers that will not agree to what you suggest. And then please send us a new file. And then they do. They send us a file, and then when we read that, then that's when the actual editing process begins. Some are easy, because some writers are actually, they write very well. The story is there, the plot is there, the grammar, the sentence construction, all kinds of things are already there. They don't need a lot of too much. It's more rerouting. Sometimes you need to move certain portions of chapters from one place to another to make better sense and things like that. And then you get the ones who, my goodness, it's a challenge, when you see it. The story and the idea is great, but the language is, their language usage is not very good. Sometimes they are lacking. They've got an awesome idea and the story is there. That's why every storyteller is not a writer. And people are confused with that. They think, oh, everybody's got a book. No, everybody's got a story. Not everybody's got a book, because not everybody is a writer. Even though you can be an amazing oral storyteller, doesn't mean you know how to put that story down on paper. And that is where the struggle comes in with the new writers. It's because everybody's got this awesome story going on in their head, and they all think that now they are a writer of 100 books. You are not necessarily. It's like music, one hit wonder. You had one awesome idea, you got one hit, and you never produced anything else for the rest of your life. And you did great with that one song, but you were not really a musician. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they don't like hearing that, because they want that book out there. And it's great that people want, and that is where I feel the indie publishing and the self-publishing and then the traditional publishing all come in to fit the different types of writers. The writer who has tons of books to produce should try traditional publishing. If they can't, because of how the system works, then go indie publishing. But keep to the standard that traditional publishers adhere to. It is very important to have quality over quantity. Just producing books. Oh yeah, I can write a book in 3 months and put it out there on Amazon. Okay, but what are you giving me? The same formula over and over and over again? That's boring after a while. Anyway, so that is how we go about. And then the editing process is a back and forth. Goes to the writer, comes back to the editor, and we go over things, reread, read. Now, some books are more difficult than others because of the language the writers use sometimes, which is why I keep on drumming it in. Use simple language. Now, with some people, it's difficult because they're highly technical books. So the technical jargon needs to be there. But the sentence construction should be as simple as possible so that you can understand the technology and the science that goes into that story making. And that is sometimes a big problem. You have the discrepancy between language usage and technology, and so for example, some people write high sci-fi, it's on another planet, they create all kinds of things. You have to teach the reader how to understand everything you explain so that it becomes second nature when they see it, when they read it. So if you don't, you'll be jarring the head, and the reader has to stop to think, now what does this mean? What is this? And so you're breaking the reader's concentration because they have to think about what you're saying. So that is the editing process, how it goes. And then eventually you come to an end copy that you now both agree on, and now the actual publishing process starts. And that is then James's field. Mine is all of that before. So
Okay, I'll jump in there. I'll jump in here. Like she said, we have a whole lot of writers, or we have writers who are sometimes have great stories. And then to get that story in the right order and the right sequence and the right language, like Sandy, you were saying you were reading John's book and you're having a hard time with it. Even though it's written well, it's the story behind and the ideas that he's talking about are very highbrow, very scientifically discussed. He's discussing very deep scientific processes. And even Athena was saying, what do you think about this story? And I was like, because I have a very scientific mind and I follow a lot of science, from biology, physics, nuclear science, astrology. So I follow a lot of different sciences, chemistry. And so when I read it, I was like, yeah, it's a tough subject, he said, but it's very well told. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's going to be for people who like highbrow, high definition science. And then we get to the publishing part, and it's like, okay, how do we put this book out, and how do we get to reach those people who would not so much understand but appreciate this type of writing? Because we do tell the writers, even if you're talking about a very how would you say, like a detailed type of subject, like even Zach, who was talking about something that was happening 1400 years ago, which everybody knows the story of Constantinople being overrun by the Turks and then becoming Istanbul. But when you get down into, he wants to use some of the esoteric languages and things like that, and he started bringing in terminology that hasn't been used in 500 years. And it's like, that doesn't help me in the present day understand your story, because now I got to go find a dictionary and find out what this word means. And it really doesn't really move the story along. So therefore, cut it out and use a regular word. I know that was what they said back then, but it doesn't carry over to now. And that's part of the process of editing, and then the publishing of it is, we got to find a cover and find an idea that will take you into that period. So when people look at the book, they understand that we're talking about this period of time. And so it makes it easier for the person to pick up the book and start reading, and they're already in that world. And so we try to work with, the people, and we'll try to work with our writers and stuff like that, to put all that together. Because when you talk about the timeline and things, and that's why we usually didn't start marketing books until after we had the finished product printed. And now we're like, okay, well, that's too late in the game to start marketing. We need to start marketing 6 months ahead of that time. But we still have to get to a point where we got to find, and that's what we're working on now, Sandy, that's what we're working with you on. We got to find a happy medium between when do we have a product that we're satisfied or at least close to being satisfied with, that we can pick a launch date and then say we're going to launch on this particular day because we know we're 90% there. Like you said, you only get one shot to make a good impression. And even though it takes a day or two to revise the files, it's still the first people who get that book may look at that book and say, well, I don't like it because of this, that, and the other thing. So it's that happy medium of once we get the product into a position where we think, okay, this is good, this is what we want, this is how it should look and how it should feel, then we should start working on the release date and that kind of thing. And because of this COVID-19 and how it went from a 2-week period of printing that book, that first copy, and being able to look it over, to a month or two of getting these books out, it like threw a very big monkey wrench in the way we did things. And we're going to have to look at redoing some of the stuff that we do. Now, like I said, Mark's book, we're going to look it over. And we find that we have mistakes or something like that that we need to correct, we're going to push his release back. John's release is coming this weekend. I really don't want to push it back because the book is already out there. People are already buying it. So the push his release back isn't going to help. What we're going to do is get the edits in as quick as possible, like this weekend, so that anybody who gets the ebook will get the newer file, at least. And I mean, he said he found maybe 25 errors, which is a lot. But I'll have to go over the errors he found because we was also talking to him, and some of the errors are like, those aren't really errors. Those are, every time you read the book, you can think about a better way of writing it. And that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is proofreading, looking for actual errors, glaring mistakes that will say, hey, this was edited badly or this wasn't edited at all. And that's the type of thing that we're working on now. And told David the same thing. We're going to pick a release date for his book once we have at least a printed copy, or we know we're going to have a printed copy in time that we can go through it and then edit it if we need to before the release date.
And I love that. And one of the things I want to point out about James's authors is almost all of them that I know of are first-time authors. Is that right?
Yeah, because we kind of like specialize in new authors. That's one of the things we put out there.
And I can tell you that working with first-time authors exclusively has got to be challenging because you're not only doing the publishing, you're training them, you're teaching them, you're like taking care of them. And so I think that's great. So congratulations to James and Athena for doing a great job with these authors and none of them are writing just a simple, and I started to say romance, and I'm so sorry, Athena, do not want to say that because I know romance is not simple. And as Athena points out, it is like the structure, it's the foundation for all books. So I love that, and I can't wait to see. We're working on a press release for her that's because you can see when Athena takes a stand, she takes a stand. And she talked to us the other day about romance, and that was just like she talked today, and it was like, okay. But romance is the beginning, that's like where everything stands on romance. So Athena, thank you so much for that clarification. Great job. You did wonderful. James, you guys do a great job. Red, all of you. And so we're working with Joshua and his publisher who, so that's a whole new story, a different story too. So Julie, for her, maybe fortunately, she's the author and publisher because she has a publishing company. So I love hearing these timelines. I want you to be thinking about thinking about them and thinking about the process. Publishing is a process. So think about that. And then especially, don't forget the quality. Everything you do, whether it's the publishing, it's the marketing, it's the press releases, it's your blog or your podcast or your speaking, your press kit. So we're going to be sending Joshua's press kit, speaker kit to some of these people looking for speakers. So if you're going to send a speaker kit that has your image, your bio, make sure those are the same quality that you would expect of someone that was sending something to you. So make sure you're at the Amy, yes. So make sure that you keep quality at the top of the line for you. And Joshua has like a movie I mentioned earlier. So even when you're doing a movie, unless you're doing things have changed a little in the videos part, where if you're doing a Facebook Live or you're just sitting there talking and doing a video, then people want that being present with you, that real getting to know you, the author or the publisher. But if you're going to do a movie and it's going to be broadcast as a movie, then you're back to having quality. So thank you all for this. Was a great conversation. If you have anything else you want to add, be sure and put it. Where do you put it?
Author Talk Facebook page.
Facebook group.
Thank you. It's not Author Talk Facebook group. It is the
authors. Sorry.
Authors. That was good, CJ. For a minute, I'm like, yes, that is where you put it. So, okay, thank you all for joining us. I will see you on Monday. Remember, if you have a presentation you want to present as part of our training on Mondays, let me know. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you all later.